So when you're feeling intense feelings, one of two things is going on. You either don't know what the feeling's trying to tell you. So obviously, if you don't know what it's telling you, how can you fix it? Or you know what the feeling's trying to tell you, but you feel powerless to fix it for one way or another. So we're going to address both of these things so that you can have a new perspective and shift it. So if it's the first one, if you don't know what you're feeling is actually feeling bad about, here are some steps you can follow so that you can connect to yourself, understand what you're trying to communicate, and give yourself space to shift. So whatever you're feeling, first thing first, make a conscious choice that this is going to be the most important thing you do right now. Now, if you're in the middle of something, if you're in the middle of driving, if you're in the middle of doing something that takes your time, at the soonest, safest moment, stop what you're doing, give yourself some space, pull over, step into a room, do something so that you can address this. Now, I know this seems really disruptive when you're having a feeling to do this, but this is what you're doing right now as you're starting to build this new perspective, this new framework. Once you start doing this very regularly in your life, it's going to be a lot more seamless. But in the very beginning, it might take a few tries and it might take a little bit of conscious focus. So give yourself a little space. Then the first thing you do is you name what the feeling is. Obviously, a lot of times when we're doing this, we're probably working with things that we consider negative feelings. So name it, like I feel angry, I feel rage, I feel sad. Whatever it is you feel, name it. And if you can be even more descriptive, like I feel punchy rage or I feel like dying in a little ball. Whatever it is, the more you can give it like a sort of name or description, it helps you identify it. Now, here's the cool thing. When you identify it, there's going to be an area in your body that lights up. And what I mean by lights up, you're going to actually feel energy somewhere in your body when you do this. So you might go, I feel sad, and then you might feel it down here in your gut a little bit. Or maybe you might even go, I feel anxious, and you might feel it, oh, so I'm touching the mic, you might feel it right here on your heart. So whatever it is you feel, and if you maybe feel it in your arm, maybe you feel it somewhere else, just let yourself name it and then see where you feel it. Now, the next step is after you name it, this is so key, and this is maybe really challenging for a lot of people, but this is so key. The next step is to give gratitude to that feeling. Now, check it out. When you are appreciating the feeling, you are going from attacking the feeling, which is what a lot of us do. Why do I have to feel this way? Why am I like this? Why am I like this? And you're giving yourself permission to shift your perspective. Because this feeling isn't your enemy. This feeling isn't trying to attack you. This feeling is trying to communicate with you. And, if you keep punishing the messenger, as it were, you start to develop a dynamic in which you are unable to communicate with yourself. So by thanking this feeling for showing up, you're doing two things. One, you're changing your relationship with your feelings. And two, you're lightening up how you feel about your feelings. Because when you're grateful for something, there's a little bit less fight in it. There's a little bit less resistance. Now, if you're struggling with being grateful for your feelings, then be grateful that you can communicate with your feelings. Be grateful that you're communicating. You can say, I don't like the way this feels, but I'm grateful that I'm being conscious with this. I'm grateful that I'm getting this signal, and I'm grateful that very soon I'm going to understand this. So, just find where the gratitude is and present it. And I know that there's a lot of stories we can say about reasons not to be grateful, but we're not looking for those. We're looking for any reason at all to be grateful for that feeling, because this is it's like that special sauce that helps you shift everything. All right, so once you're grateful for the feeling, here's the next part. The next part is you are going to sit with this feeling. Now, this is key. This is not about changing the feeling. I repeat, this is not about changing the feeling. Your relationships with feelings are about to shift. Instead of trying to force external things to happen to change how you feel inside, you're going to start looking at feelings as messages you're receiving. And if you can sit, be grateful, and be present with the feeling, just sit with the feeling and be present with it, you're going to not only receive the information it's trying to convey to you, but the way you feel about feelings is going to shift, because this is the key component. There are so many things that are going to happen in your world. There are so many feelings you're going to have. And if every time you feel intense, you feel like you got to be reactive or you break down, it's going to make life a challenge for you. And life already has its own challenges. We don't need to add more challenges to it. By sitting and being present in gratitude with this feeling and without trying to change it, this is so key, without trying to change it, what you're doing is you're giving it permission to exist. And the reason that's important is because it's part of who you are. When you're giving it permission to exist, instead of pushing away yourself, instead of pushing away from your energy, you're going, I may not understand you, I may not understand all of this yet, but I appreciate you, and I'm going to be here with you. I'm going to sit here with you. And what ends up happening is when you have no resistance, when you're not pushing or trying to change it anymore, it sort of unfolds on its own. It just reveals itself to you. And you're going to feel very different. I would suggest, if you've been listening to this, to give this a try. Even if you need to pause the video for a moment, give this a try. Give these steps a try. And the next time you feel that way, give these steps a try. If you do them consistently, and if you do this consistently, even just try it for the next week, you're going to see such a profound shift in how you experience your life. Now, here's the second part. After you've given yourself that permission to sit with it and be grateful for it and everything, the next part is to allow it to integrate into you. Another way to say this is like, imagine you're embracing it, you're hugging it, you're bringing it inside of you. Because instead of trying to fix yourself, instead of trying to see yourself as broken, I like to see ourselves as we're whole. We just sometimes put our pieces in different places, right? So, for example, this feeling you have, the feeling isn't bad, but if it's distracting you from your life, or if it's being really confusing to you, then it can seem bad. But it has a function in your space. The only reason it's acting up is because it's trying to get your attention. So when you give it your attention, when you're grateful for it, when you're appreciating it, and when you integrate it within yourself, it finds its healthy and whole place within you. And then you stop fighting yourself and you start working with yourself. It's just this profound shift in your body. Now, here's the other part. So this first part we just talked about right here was all about if you don't understand your feelings. So all those steps for helping you understanding your feelings. Now, if you feel you understand your feelings, but you don't know how to change the situation, like let's say you feel bad about something external, like the government, or let's say you feel bad about a boss at work, or you feel bad about a relationship or someone you love. Well, one of the first things to do is ask yourself, what do I believe needs to be true before I'm happy? Then write out those reasons. Now, if those reasons require someone outside of you to do something, like I need this person to like me, or I need the government to do this, or I need my boss to respect me, then ask again, why? Why? What's the belief I have that I think that way? Maybe you think that your boss has so much power over you and you can never find another job and this is your dream job and this is whatever. And the question would be, is that true? Is there a possibility that you have a belief that you're really stuck on that makes it seem like you're in an impossible situation, but is there maybe another perspective there for you? Because I will tell you, anytime you think something outside of you has power over you, there is some belief for you to explore. Anytime, I'm saying this again, you have a belief that something outside of you has power over you, there is something within you to explore. So, again, two main components for when you want to shift your feelings. We have the integration component, which is that first one where I walked you through the steps of feeling gratitude for your feelings. And then there's the component where you don't think you can shift your feelings, and that brings you to the inquiry. Why do I believe this? So these are two tools that I'm sharing with you right now. Now, I help a lot of people with their emotional mastery. So if you've enjoyed this video, I would suggest subscribing. I would suggest liking, especially if this has helped you in some way. But I also have a course. I have courses available to you if you want to go even deeper on these topics. You can visit my website at www.daniellelynn.com. And I'll also have the link for you in the comments and in some of the areas of this video right here. You can also get some more free resources from me, and you'll see those in the comments and description as well. This has been such a wonderful experience that we've had together. I love you so much, and we will talk soon.